You're listening to the Craig Proctor Real Estate Show. Each week, I'm going to be interviewing top realtors from coast to coast to give you a backstage pass on how they've created their amazing real estate empires and how you can copy them. Hi, everyone. This is real estate coach Craig Proctor, and welcome to the Craig Proctor Real Estate Show. Today, my special guest from the state of Texas is John Garrett. John, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great, Craig. How are you?
Good. Hey, we're having a nice little chat before we got started here. Tell me, let's start off. What's going on in your marketplace, your business right now that's really going well for you?
Yeah, I mean, just being able to connect with people via, the direct response marketing and some of the ads that we're running, getting those people in, setting appointments, and honestly, we're setting so many appointments that I'm having to, pay hourly to agents who aren't even on my team just to take my clients out. So
now that's kind of the opposite problem that you had before you met me, right? It was like, I don't have enough leads. I don't have enough appointments. And now you've got this overflow. And we're going to talk today, by the way, if you're anywhere in John's marketplace, how you might want to partner up and get some of this overflow business. I know it sounds too good to be true, but this guy actually has more listing appointments and buyer appointments than he can personally do himself. And we'll talk about like how that happens, because I know that's what everyone should be interested in. How did you first meet me? How long ago was that? And how did you come into the Craig Proctor world?
Well, what's crazy, Craig, is I kind of came in when the world was on hiatus. COVID was happening, and I actually had probably the worst year of my career the year before I joined coaching. And
So with that worst year that you had, was that before COVID?
It was, where COVID happened. Yeah, it was kind of, leading up into it. So yeah, it was during.
So what was on your mind? Are you thinking like, I'm going to leave real estate, or I got to fix this, I got to do something?
Yeah, absolutely. So, 3 years of success at that point in time, 3.5. And that third year was just horrible. I didn't have any prospects. I didn't have, I just thought people would just kind of know that I was in real estate and walk through my door.
Yeah, we all think that, don't we? We think if I get my license and I work hard, I'm a good agent, and I know what I'm doing, that should be enough, right? But it's a marketing play. People watching this, you may or may not be familiar with my story, but John, just like you, for the first few years, I floundered. I had no idea. I was just like looking around what the other agents were doing, and I was struggling. And year 3, same thing. Year 3 is when it all changed around for me. And I became the #1 RE/MAX agent in the world within 36 months of having my license. But really, it was probably all that success happened in about a year and a half, because the first year or so, like you, I thought, well, I've got my license. I work hard. I'm going to do all the stuff they tell me to do. Cold call, door knock, sit in open houses. And you remember the story. My dad told me not to get into real estate, right? Because my dad was a realtor. He knew how hard it was. And, I'm thinking, well, Dad was right. I should have listened. So you're desperately trying to figure this out. And how did you connect with me?
Yeah. So I forget who said it, but someone said something like, you never see a path created before you until you look back and then kind of see like the stars aligned.
Yeah.
Well, it's a really interesting. I really bought into coaching several years back, even before real estate. But my very first coach that I ever hired and paid money for was a man by the name of Bob Proctor. And I know you've met him, and I know you know him. And
now, how did you meet Bob Proctor? So Bob was really. Yeah. I'll share with everybody my Bob Proctor story. But so did you think we were related? Because a lot of people do, right? A lot of people think, well, you must be his son or something.
Well, what's funny, in his like 1970s recording of his Born Rich program, right, he has where he brought, I think, like one of the big head honchos of RE/MAX up on stage with him, and he said,
Yep.
my son's going to, go work with him. And so like, and I was like, well, maybe that was Craig,
That was so Bob's son worked with me for a number of years. His name was Brian, great guy. What happened with Bob Proctor was what I just said a few minutes ago. Like within 36 months, I was named #1 in the world for Remax. So a lot of attention. Like I was in my 20s, I was still living at home with my parents, believe it or not. And I get this letter from Bob Proctor. And in the letter, he goes, you live in Toronto, I live in Toronto. We share the same last name, although we're not related. I'd like to meet you. And so I really didn't know much about Bob Proctor. And really, I didn't understand the mind and paradigms. And so Bob introduced me to all of that. Like many of you maybe watching this, you think, well, that's overstated or exaggerated. But I got to say, when I started to hang out with Bob Proctor and he was asking me a lot of questions about what I do and how I was thinking, I really became a student of his, so much so that Bob and I started doing conferences in the 1990s together for real estate agents. And those conferences were called the Proctor Experience. And yeah, Bob had a deal with Remax. And so Bob and I would travel around the United States and we would talk at different Remax regions. And then we had our own conferences in addition to that. But it was called the Proctor Experience, where I would work on the technical real estate ideas. And then Bob would work on your head, right? And Bob would say, Craig's going to give you all these ideas, things to do, these systems, but you're probably not going to do any of this stuff until your paradigm, will allow you to do it. So the biggest thing holding people back is how we think. And unless you change how you think, you're not going to do anything different anyway. And so we did that for a number of years. And I remember we were selling 300 homes a year when I met Bob. And Bob said, what would you like to do? And I said 600. But then I proceeded to tell Bob Proctor all the reasons we couldn't do 600, right? Very normal. So, and we see this. Okay. So John's one of our coaches, by the way, everybody. Congratulations for that, John. So you see this all the time in the members that we coach, right? Like on one hand, you ask somebody, what's your goal? And on the other hand, they tell you why they can't obtain their goal. Well, you don't understand my market and blah, blah, blah. So this is what I found myself doing with Bob Proctor. I'm telling him, well, no one's ever done 600 in the history of real estate. And we don't have enough, the population isn't big enough in our small town and all these different reasons. So Bob came up to my office and he met with each one of my team members about their personal goals. I remember one of the ladies comes out of the meeting. So he's going in their individual offices at the Remax office. And she walks out and she's in tears. And I'm like, what happened? And I guess he really just got into what do you really want in life and what's holding you back? And she became quite emotional. Well, he met with each one of our team members. Do you want to know what happened the next year? We did 600 transactions.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay. In 1 year, from 300 to 600. So that just goes to show you that not only did Bob get my head on right, he did the same thing with each one of our team members. So that's interesting, that you came to me. I get a lot of people coming to me also from Dan Kennedy, another one of my mentors, direct response marketing, of course, revolutionized my business. And our job is to revolutionize real estate. And we want to make sure that we spread the word to real estate agents that there is a much better, smarter, modern way to attract and sift and sort prospects that happens automatically without you. That cold calling and door knocking and sitting in open houses and doing floor time and chasing and all the things that we're taught to do are really completely unnecessary and actually will impede your chances of success.
Yeah.
So, okay, so that's a long answer to how you met me. Okay, so what happens next? Did you come to a conference or what happened?
Well, so because it was during COVID, I feel like I like to do a little more research than the average person. Everybody probably does the same amount of research. They go to Google, they go to, all these different websites. And during that time, you guys weren't having any conferences. You guys weren't having like
That's
half
right.
days
We
or
weren't allowed to. Yeah. In the state of California, we were not allowed to. They just said, and we had all these conferences planned out. So, we had pre-sold these, we had them filled up, and we had to cancel them all. But if you remember, we started doing them virtually at that point.
right. Yeah. So, I lucked into, having my call with with James McDonald. He was the one, and just like everyone, we're pre-programmed with skepticism up to past our eyeballs. And so I remember having the conversation with James, but just before I joined, and I said, I just had my worst year of my career, and I don't want to do that again. I want like some sort of guarantee, and he's like, well, I can guarantee that these systems work, but what I can't guarantee is that you're going to work them. And when he said that and put the onus on me to like go out and do the work, I was like, you know what, that is that's a fair answer. And I couldn't expect anything more than that. And at that point, I was like, you know what, after all my research of others, I just felt like yours was the most complete and best fit for where I wanted to go in my career.
So what has happened since? Let's get into, okay, that's how you found me.
Yeah.
What was so revolutionary? What should people pay attention to? Because here's what they think. Coaches, they're a dime a dozen. Coaching's about motivation. It's about accountability. It's someone's going to yell at me to make more cold calls or, entertain me or whatever. What has coaching meant to you?
It means the world to me. We already talked about influences or paradigms, but it's the thing is Jim Rohn said that you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most. And being on these webinars, being on these coaching calls and things like that, you're already elevating the thoughts and environment that you're putting yourself in, which automatically is going to change that paradigm, which is in turn going to change your results. And so to me, I mean, coaching is literally a game change to that regard.
I would say the big distinction between what we do is we actually coach on a system.
Yeah.
Right. Like if you get involved with Craig Proctor, here's what we're talking about. The same things. We're talking about lead generation, conversion, presentations, systems, recruiting, hiring, training, managing, how to leverage yourself. It's the same things that we talk about. And I've been talking about for 30 years. The nice thing for everyone to know is that everything you want to do in real estate, it's currently been done by John and myself and by thousands and thousands of other Craig Proctor members over the last 25 years. So John, as you indicated, everything you want to do, you just have to do it, right? And there's help there for you. It's been a tremendous help for you to meet and rub shoulders with agents making millions of dollars a year.
Oh, absolutely. So, I wrote down a few things of like what was just game changing in my business. My very first super conference, one of our members and heavy hitter, Nancy, she was doing the presentation on how to get listings with your listings, and it just went through step by step what she was doing and what ads she was running. Well, I had just had a listing that had gone up, and I was kind of leery whether or not it would sell. And so there at the conference, I copied and pasted this ad into my Facebook ads generator. Literally, I get back from the conference, I get a phone call. I don't have to call this person. I get a phone call from someone who says, hey, I want to buy this property. I go, I double end it. It's my first ever double end. And now that person is a good client of mine. I've got them investing in real estate. We've already done 3 more transactions since then. And he's looking at acquiring more. So just already you're seeing this kind of ripple effect of
Right.
some of the systems that you're talking
It's interesting that you implemented and got results right away, which is what direct response marketing is all about. You do it and you don't have to wait. You get a response, as the name would indicate. Direct response means you get a response right away when you do this properly. Now, let's look at your business and what's happened over the last couple of years. Has it doubled? Has it tripled? Where are you at?
Yeah. So the year before, my worst year, the year before I joined, I think I grossed like 40,000. It was abysmal. It was horrible.
That is gross.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was very
Okay.
gross. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. I mean,
So what are you thinking at that point? Like, I'm not even going to stay in real estate, or?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I was like, this can't go on, which
Right.
is why I was having those conversations.
I mean, that's not even net. You grossed 40.
Oh yeah.
You had your
Oh yeah.
expenses.
That was,
Okay. All right.
yeah,
So then what happens?
yeah. So my first year doubled, well, more than doubled. I think it was like 90. I grossed 96.
Okay.
First full year in the system, and then from the next 12 months, I went from there to 246,000.
Okay, now we're talking $250,000.
Yeah.
Okay, so you and I were talking before we got started about you want to grow out your team. So sell me on this. Like, why should I, if you're outside of Houston, okay, you're in the suburbs of Houston, and I'll have you in a minute talk about all the areas you serve. But let's say I'm a realtor in your market. I'm in the suburbs of Houston, and I might be thinking, well, I'm going to try to do this. I'm going to be an independent. Maybe I want to grow my own team. Why would I consider coming and partnering up with you? What would be in it for me?
Well, first off, if you're in my market, if you're the average agent in my market, I feel your pain, or I have felt your pain, I should say. Because I think I looked at the MLS statistics, and I think it's like over 10,000 people, over 10,000 agents have already dropped out of the MLS just this year alone. So I know there's agents out there struggling. And the reason they're
Let me interrupt for a sec. Do you believe that some of the 10,000 agents that have left, had they joined up with you, would still be in real estate today?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, they'd be going out on appointments today. Yeah.
Okay. So the point I want to make is you could be a really good real estate agent. You care about your clients, you work hard. Technically, you're good at it. But let's face it, if you don't have buyers and sellers to sell to, you're going to starve to death. And this is what John provides, is an overflow of business where he physically cannot go out himself to all the listing appointments and all the buyer appointments. And he's building this real business where he actually would give you appointments. Let's stop there. Did everyone hear what I just said? Appointments, not leads. He actually gives you listing appointments and buyer appointments, and he gives you the listing presentation and the buyer presentation, and he coaches you for hours every week on how to nail the presentations so you come back with a listing signed, not a story. Now, the reason he's willing to spend so much time with you, let's be honest, the more money you make, the more money John makes. So I know every brokerage promises, oh, we'll give you training, we'll give you, no, you know that training is weak, okay? I have coached John, and John's going to coach you. John's going to show you what I showed him. That's how this is going to work. And you will net more money in your pocket partnering up with John than what you're making now, a lot more. Now, let's just say everything I said there is true. Why wouldn't everyone in your marketplace, if that was true, if they could make more money in less time, which is why we get into real estate, right? You want more freedom, which is money and time. So why wouldn't every realtor in the Houston area be banging down your door trying to join the team?
I think part of it is I'm so busy that I've really hadn't done a good enough job recruiting, but I think, maybe ego might be part of it. Maybe,
ego is definitely a part. Like, we don't want people on your team that have a massive ego and having their picture or name on the sign is more important than their income. If you're like that, yeah, you wouldn't be a good candidate to partner up with John. But if you're the type of realtor, it's like, show me the money, right? I don't like, we should probably talk about all the things a realtor would no longer have to do if they partnered up with you. So no cold calling, no door knocking, no wasting your money on advertising and marketing. John pays for all the marketing and advertising. Okay. No banging up signs. Like you just go out to the listing appointment and you submit the listing. Everything's taken care of. It's broker loaded for you. The sign goes up. Someone's pounding the sign on the lawn. Someone's getting the key cut. Someone's installing the key box. Someone's taking the pictures, making the feature sheets. All that is done for you. We're looking for agents that are good at, well, two things: the listing presentation and the buyer presentation. That's it. And that's what you do all day long. You go from appointment to appointment to appointment to appointment to appointment. And if you did that, you could make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in your pocket. That's who we're looking for. Now, again, if you have a huge ego, it doesn't really matter how much that you can make more money working with John, because that's not your currency. Your currency is your ego. So we're not looking for people that have a massive ego. We're looking for people that want to have a massive bank account. So how could realtors find out more about partnering up with you? What would be, first of all, tell us the areas that you serve, where you're looking for agents to partner up with, and the best way for them to reach you to have a conversation.
Yeah, so I'm in North Harris, Montgomery County, which is just north of Houston. Houston, of course, being in Harris County. Of course, we've serviced all over the Houston Metroplex, but our direct market is here called the Woodlands, Texas. So anyone who's around here or even in the state of Texas typically knows where the
even I know where Woodlands, Texas is.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's right. So
okay, so this is how this deal would work. You want to, if you're skeptical about this, you want to, and maybe you want to be the next John Garrett. If you're not in Houston area, you're going to contact me. Okay, if you want to do what John's doing, which is basically John was struggling $40,000 a year, and within 3 years, $250,000. It sounds unbelievable, but honestly, that's not unique, is it, John? You've met many Craig Proctor members who have experienced a doubling and tripling and quadrupling of their business in short period, just like me. I went from, who was I? I was a nobody to the top Remax agent in the world within 36 months. So this doesn't matter where you are or where you've been. What it really matters is where you want to go. So if you're inside of Houston, you do not need to call Craig Proctor. John Garrett is the Craig Proctor of Houston. All you need to do is get over whatever skepticism. He's a cool guy. You're going to contact John, have a conversation. If you don't like the conversation, just hang up. Okay. So, and he's not here, believe me, he's not here to sell you on anything or whatever. What he's got is good. And when you hear it, you're either going to get it and want it, or you'll say, I'm not interested. And that's fine too. Now, if you want to book a call with me, you're going to go to proctorcall.com. So my name, Proctor, call, no space, proctorcall.com. You'll see my acuity day timer. And when you get there, before you're allowed to book the time, I think it's before you're allowed to book the day and the time that suits you, we're going to ask you a bunch of questions about your business, because we really want to help you. So I need to know a little bit about your production, how many years in business, all the stuff you've tried that's worked, all the stuff you've tried that didn't work. Do you have a team? Do you not have a team? So we'll ask you a bunch of questions. And then we jump on a Zoom meeting so we can show you a few things and ask you some questions. And then you can decide whether the Craig Proctor system is right for you. Okay. So that's how you're going to reach me if you don't work in the greater Houston area. Now, if you're in the greater Houston area, John, what's the best way for them to have a conversation with you?
Yeah, you can give me a call on my cell phone. Are we giving out phone numbers?
Yeah, go ahead and we'll go ahead, and then we'll have Faith. If you can if you can put his cell number down in the comments below, just in case people are driving or whatever. But yeah, shoot, give us your cell number.
Yeah, shoot me a text or give me a call. I know most people text, but either way, 832-993-1644. Would love to talk to anyone who wants to actually do real estate. You know,
we could probably do a better call to action. If you're a realtor in the greater Houston area and you want to make more money and work less, you're going to text or call John Garrett at, and repeat it again.
832-993-1644. And
There you go.
you just heard why Craig is my coach, because his calls to action are phenomenal, by the way.
And look, the reason I'm endorsing John is he does a great job. You would enjoy working with him, and it would be a partnership. You know, it's not a dictatorship or anything like that. He's a cool guy, and just have a conversation with him. Like, all good things start with communication. That's how you met me. That's how I met Bob Proctor. That's how the world works, right? So if you're watching this and you're still watching this, assume you're here for good reason, right? You're here at the right place for you at the right time. And all we're saying is, we're not trying to sell you anything. Have a conversation with us, because it does require, your career does require a conversation. We want to know, what are you doing right now? How about this? Why are you doing it that way? Those are the kind of questions Bob Proctor asked me. So how do you do it? Why do you do it that way? How long have you been doing it? You ever tried doing it a different way? And it's funny, because the paradigm, right? You'll catch yourself defending your approach, right? And then Bob would say, well, have you ever tried to do it another way? No. He's like, well, look it, the way you're doing it is causing you to sell 300 homes a year. And I asked you how many homes you want to sell, and you said 600. And then you proceeded to tell me why you can't sell 600. And you defended the way you're doing it now. And then he got into this conversation about paradigms. He said, you know, that people came to him all the time and they wanted to improve their life and they wanted to improve their business, but they didn't want to change what they were doing. And really, if you back up the bus, it's because people don't want to change their paradigm, right? When you change your paradigm, you change the way you look at the world, and that will allow you to change your approach. And fortunately for me, I was able to change my approach and actually work less and sell 600 homes a year. And I did that for a number of years. And what I realized is this had nothing to do with Craig Proctor, the person. It had everything to do with this systematic approach that I created. And that's why it successfully can be passed on to John Garrett, and it can be successfully passed on to all of you, which we have done over 30,000 agents through the Craig Proctor system. And I have created more millionaire agents than any other coach, trainer, or guru, which ironically, a lot of my competitors have never sold real estate, or if they did sell real estate, they certainly didn't make millions of dollars a year like I did. So who the coach is really, really important. And I'm happy that John Garrett is now a Craig Proctor coach. He gets to sell real estate every day in the trenches and then share this system and answer questions, your questions, and show you the nitty-gritty details. It's the details, the minutia that you need to be coached up on to be really, really successful. But if you copy this, it will work, right? James McDonald was right.
Yeah, well, so the thing is, it's like, I mean, yeah, that was a paradigm shift right out of the gate. I mean, there's, for anyone who's on the fence, whether or not to reach out to Craig or myself, I always wanted to be an innovator, but there's no reason that you have to reinvent the wheel. You just heard from the man himself out of the horse's mouth. You know, he has coached more billionaire agents than anyone else. So if that's who you want to be and that's what you want to do, then guess what? There's no greater resource. Okay, the systems are there, and why would you go and bang your head against a rock to get water when you can draw from the well? You know, the well is here. So
let's switch gears to where you're going to take this thing, John. So what do you see yourself a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously through coaching, we're always taking a look at that, where we're going, and tracking our goals to make sure those goals are attained. So what I would like to do is I'd like to grow my team within the next year. I'd like to add at least three more agents in the next year, and then I'd like to open my own brokerage and basically do all that all over again. And really the goal behind that is to help others achieve their goals. You know, I've always been a huge proponent of coaching and influencing others to help them. Sure, who doesn't love success? But my success, the way I measure success is how many people am I helping? And am I helping? Zig Ziglar said, what is it that to get what you want, you have to help other people get what they
That's
want.
true. Yep.
So
Absolutely. Yep. As soon as you stop focusing on yourself and you start to focus on other people, you'll get all that you want. Okay. So through this journey, you get your license, you struggle, you're trying to figure it out. You get involved with Craig Proctor, business triples, $250,000. Now you're growing out your team. What was the hardest parts of this? Like going back and looking at it now, what were kind of the hardest parts between when you started and where you are right now?
Yeah, so I think a lot of those mind shifts, and I love, there's a resource that we just updated on our coaching site this year about it's our milestones checklist and things that we're implementing and things that the normal real estate industry probably isn't even aware of, which is incredible to me. And so I remember right out of the gate learning about USPs and setting yourself apart. I was scared to put your home sold guaranteed or I'll buy it on my business cards. But because I had already I feel like I already tried to be an innovator and I basically had nowhere else to be or no other frame of mind to say that, you know what, I don't know. I obviously don't know how to get more business. So I'm just going to do what they're doing. And so I just started copying and copying and copying and copying and copying. And the more I copied, the more results I got. So that was really kind of that first, one of the first paradigm shifts.
It almost sounds like just like letting go. You said, I wanted to be an innovator, but when you kind of just let go and just copied what everybody else that was successful was doing, it worked. Okay. How many agents are you looking for?
Yeah. So like I said, minimum 3, right out of the gate. I mean, I'm ready for 3 right now.
Do you have inside sales agents right now?
So I don't.
You're the ISA. And nothing wrong with that. I mean, I was the one calling the leads, which I recommend when you're getting started. I actually did this through my whole career. I would call the leads myself. I was kind of like the quarterback, right? I would call the leads because I was really good at it. And financially, I could make more money calling the leads back, qualifying the leads and setting up the listing appointments and buyer appointments, and then quarterbacking those, throwing the ball to the outside sales agents. And they would go list the houses. And real estate agents could never figure that out. They're like, well, that's the glory, going out and listing the houses. Why are you not going out and doing the listings? Because I could set up 4 or 5 listing appointments over the phone, and I can't list 4 or 5 homes in an evening, going out on the appointment. So it was just it was a financial thing. And I was really, really good at it. Now, some of our members do both, right? So they'll, which you should do, I guess, in the beginning, is you're on the phone calling the leads. Now, remember, with the Craig Proctor system, 1,000% of your leads are calling you. So when we're saying calling leads, we're talking about answering the phone when somebody's calling you saying, I want to list my house, right? So, or I want to buy a house. Those are the kind of leads that we're calling. We're not like buying Zillow leads or cold calling or door knocking or any of that stuff. So you can make a lot of money when you get really good on the phone, converting these call-ins to listing appointments and buyer appointments. In the beginning, you're probably going to want to cherry pick the best listing appointments and go out on them yourself. But I got to the point where I couldn't do them all myself. You know my story. Like, I tried. I wanted the money. I didn't want to split it. And you shouldn't be splitting your income until you get to that point. So I want to be clear. There's some gurus out there that will teach you, the key to success is run out and hire 10 or 15 people. No, don't do that until you have an overflow of business, because you're splitting your income. Why would you unnecessarily split your income? But I got to the point where I was working like 70 hours a week, and I couldn't physically go out to all the appointments and follow up with all the leads. So that's when I hired my first outside sales agent. The story with her, she made $250,000 with me the very first year. and she was with me for 20 years. She would make between 250 and 350 every year. So if you think about that, she made about $6 million for her during the time she worked with me, which means she made $6 million for me. Well, I had 8 agents like that. Okay, so plus my own production. So that's how you get there. You start with one good person, but there's mistakes that can be made along the way, right? First of all, how do you get to a place where you have an overflow of business? Some of you would be happy right there if you knew what John knew. Like, how do I? You might be thinking, well, I'm happy to work 60 or 70 hours a week and go out and list all the homes and keep all the money. You will be in the beginning, but I promise you that'll get old, because you're going to want to have a life. And remember, success just isn't the money; it's having the time and the freedom to enjoy it. So at some point, you're going to want to leverage yourself. Now, when you partner up with John, he takes care of so much of it for you that you really are just opening your day timer to do listing appointments, right? So you're not messing around with, well, how do I? You don't have to mess around with the marketing or the follow-up or any of that stuff. It's all done for you. So it's a sweet deal. Okay. And so whether you want to be a team leader like John, right, or you want to be part of a team. And so I have John Garrett's all over the United States and Canada. So in every state and every marketplace, there's Craig Proctor superstars like John. And so if you're in that part of the country and you're like, well, maybe I don't want to have my own team in the beginning, I want to join up, or I have no ambition of creating my own team, we have opportunities for you to meet other Craig Proctor superstars. I also want to thank you again, John, for being a coach. Okay. Now, John obviously makes a lot more money selling real estate, but there's something in it inside of him where he wants to share his success with other people, just like the coaches in Craig Proctor shared their time with him. So I want to thank you again for that, John.
Yeah, no, it's my pleasure. It really is. Absolutely.
All right. Well, before we wrap this up, any final thoughts or words of wisdom you'd like to pass on?
I mean, so one of my favorite quotes is the Sir Isaac Newton quote, that if I've seen further, it's by standing upon the shoulders of giants. And, if whether you feel like real estate is or isn't for you, whatever is for you, for all the people watching and where you want to be, you need to find that giant to stand upon. Okay. That way you can achieve what you ultimately want in life. And Craig is that for me. And if this isn't what you want, then like I said, I encourage everyone to find whatever it is. But again, if selling real estate and scaling your real estate business is what you want, I'd be more than happy to talk to you here in the Houston area. Craig would be more than happy to, Craig and his team would be more than happy to talk to you guys. So go see further and go do better.
Yeah, that's great. Great advice. You might be just one person away from something really big in your life. So, John, when I met Bob Proctor, that was a big deal. Yeah. When I met Dan Kennedy, when I met some of my mentors, when I recruited my first agent that I talked to you about here today, and that was proof to me that this whole team system would work. And once I had one, I could hire another one. That's why it's great to connect with people that are doing the thing that you want to do, because you might be just like one person away to a completely different course in your life. So I want to thank everybody for watching our interview today. I hope you found it incredibly helpful. If you did, in the comments below, let us know what you thought. If you found this incredibly helpful, what did you learn? What did you like about today's interview? And we'll have John's contact information and my contact information in the comments below. Feel free to reach out and contact us. We'd be happy to speak to you. And John, on behalf of everyone here in Craig Proctor Nation, I want to thank you for doing the interview today.
Thank you, Coach. You have a great day.
All right, everybody. Thanks again for watching. This is Craig Proctor and the Craig Proctor Real Estate Show. Take care. Have a great day. Hi, this is Craig Proctor. Hey, I really hope you enjoyed that video. And listen, I've got a lot more information for you to help you grow your real estate business. You see, several times a week, I record new videos and I load them onto this YouTube channel. What I'd like you to do, if you'd like to access them, are two important things, and both are totally free. Number one is I'd like you to subscribe to this channel. You're going to see a little subscribe button for you to click on. And if you don't already have an account with YouTube, it's free for you to set it up. It's really easy, it's free, but you've got to subscribe to this channel. And the most important thing is to ring the little bell right next to the subscribe button. And that's going to let you know every time I load new money-making videos to help you grow your real estate business. So make sure you subscribe right now, you ring the little bell, and we'll see you on the next video.